as I go through the announcements. So when we get to that point, we don't have to waste our time. So let's take a look here at our brain stretch. So again, we're looking at qualitative and quantitative. Remember, quantitative is numbers. Anytime I'm going to speak a number or say a number, it's going to be quantitative. Anytime that I'm going to talk about qualities or using my five senses or characteristics of something, that is going to be qualitative data. So looking over here, how much money do I have in my wallet? Well, I'm going to say numbers. I might say zero. I like that. Whoever, let's see, who put zero? Because that's what, Amy, nice. That's what I have in my wallet myself. Zero. And how many of us even carry cash around? Now we have, debit cards and all sorts of, fancy dancy stuff. Now we have, payment on our phones and, oh, it's crazy. So yeah, that would be quantitative. Okay. Because I'm saying a number. Do all cats have white fur? And if you look right here, oh, that's our good old Jambo. That's usually is behind me. Today he is not behind me, but I just decided to put his little picture up there because we're talking about cats' white fur. So do all cats have white fur? And that would be qualitative. So that's, again, we're talking about fur. You can say yes, no. Looking at Jam there. He has, Jambo looks at, I know, I love my little Jambos. Yeah, last night he slept with me and I never got any good sleep because he just he literally steals the covers. I don't understand. A cat who's only weighs 13 pounds steals my covers. I don't get it. And then we can look here. What is your favorite color? Again, my favorite color would be green, purple, blue, gray, whatever, white. And obviously I'm talking about a quality, something characteristics. Jambo, good boy. No, it's not a good boy. No. So how much does a new baby weigh? Again, we're talking numbers. I can say 7 pounds, 2 ounces, all sorts of numbers there. That would be quantitative. Okay, I'm saying a number, so that would be quantitative. So awesome job, everybody. Love it. So let's go ahead and jump into our announcements. Remember, Class Connect sessions are recorded and distributed for learning purposes. Please do not put any personal information or information of others into the chat box for your protection and the protection of others. Make sure you're school appropriate and make sure you're respectful at all times in the chat box and always participate, which is not a problem here with Period 4. Love it. I love coming to Period 4. So here is our schedule. It is day 8 of our 60-day adventure. Now, yesterday we had a big system meltdown. So if you see this little sad face here on Tuesday, you are not responsible for anything here in class on Tuesday. You are one of the lucky ones that we never touched anything. We never did anything. So guess what? I just took yesterday's lesson and bumped it to today. So you don't have anything due yesterday. You don't have any recordings. You should have been working on your project a little bit. But hey, if you didn't, I'm not going to say anything. But that was yesterday. So don't worry about anything for this class. For yesterday, you were all taken care of because we're just doing it today. I just moved it to today. So today we're going to do 1F graphing. So hopefully everyone's starting to get those notes open with. If you're just coming in, just scroll up a little bit. You will see the notes link and you can go ahead and open it up and raise your hand. All right. So let me talk a little bit about our airplane project. Now, our Unit 1 airplane project is going to be worth over the whole 55% of your grade because it's our only project that we have due right now. So when you get that, you're going to kind of look at it and be like, oh my goodness gracious, Mrs. Sepulveda. It is going to be worth that full 55%, but as we continue to do projects, obviously it will spread out and we'll divide it between those projects. Now, how do I grade this project? A lot of people like to know how I grade it. Well, I grade it on a 5 to 10 scale as long as you provide a valid attempt. This is a true benefit to you. If you give me a true valid attempt, like I see that you actually tried on it, you may have gotten the wrong answer, but you tried, then you get 50% of the points. Guaranteed on that page, you get 50% of the points. So if you give me a valid attempt and you tried but it's just wrong, then you get 50% of the points. It's better to have more points than no points at all. Okay. Now, what is a valid attempt? I don't want to see any blanks. I don't want to see any random answers. It should be clear that you watched the recording and that you went through every step. It shouldn't be something where it's like, something random pulled out of the hat. Okay. So make sure that you do give me a valid attempt. Now, this is technically due tomorrow, December 9th at 4 p.m. but I will not zero it out until next week. So you do have some grace period. You won't see your grade drop until I zero it out. If you've gotten it in, then your grade will be fine, you know. But if you haven't gotten it in and you need a little more time and I do zero it out, you will see your grade drop significantly until you get it in. Please, because you see a zero, please don't just say, oh, well, I have a zero, I can't turn it in. Nope, you can turn every piece of work in my class technically all the way up until March 7th, okay? Now, do I want you to do that? Do I want you to procrastinate all the way until March 7th? No, because let me tell you, every trimester I see that I all of a sudden get the students with the panic look and the panic, like, I need to get this done. And it's just not worth it. It's done. Don't stress yourself out. I don't know how many times I tell you this. And then, when people are like, oh, it's all right. And then they come back to me and go, Mrs. Pulver, I should have listened to you. So, again, if you need some extra time, that's absolutely fine. You're not going to get a mark down for turning in late. Absolutely not. Not here. So, if you need extra time, just be aware. You don't want to be too much extra time because you don't want it all piling up on you. We do start Unit 2 on Friday. We start a new project. So, just kind of be aware of that. But, hey, if you need a couple more days, I'm cool with that. If you need anything, just let me know. Okay, so that's how we grade here in our class. So again, we are here on our last lesson of our science fundamentals. So our project will be due tomorrow, December 9th, and we are a go for that one. Today, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to explain the purpose of graphing and identify various examples. We're going to label the axes of a graph and the plot the data. So some of you who are like, I thought this was science class. Now I feel like I'm in math class. Don't worry, but science and math kind of go hand in hand here. We're going to define and identify two types of graphs, scatter plot and what we call a bar graph. Okay, we're going to do that all through our notes today. So right now, go ahead and open up your notes. I see a lot of raised hands, but I also see a lot of people who haven't opened up their notes. So I'm going to put it back up there in the chat box one more time. So there it is. Go ahead and open up your notes. I'm going to give everybody another 25 seconds to go ahead and get those notes open with. So 25 seconds up on the clock. Everybody should have their hand raised or let me know in the chat box whether you have your notes open with. If you are watching the recording, click the grades tab, scroll down to 1F notes, and start your quiz. 5 more seconds. And then you will hear the dance of the fairies. All right, so let's just go ahead and get these notes open with. So still looking for Peter, Moses, Little John, Kentoya, Gabriel, Austin, Angelo. Angelo, just let me know in the chat box if you're okay. Alberto, and raise your hand. Perfect. Thanks so much, Austin. Thank you, Peter. I saw your hand up. So Alberto, Angelo, Braden, Gabriel, Little John, and Moses, please raise your hand. And then Henna, just go ahead and keep your hand up. I'll go ahead and put it down for you. So Alberto, Angelo, Braden, and thank you, Braden. Awesome. Alberto, Angelo, Gabriel, Little John, and Moses. Excellent. Let's go ahead and move on. Yeah, no worries. No worries. Okay, thanks for letting me know. That's all I need you to know. Just give a little communication. Thank you. Awesome. No worries there, Little John. Let's go ahead and lower these down, and let's talk about our brainstorm. How would you graph these following points? So I'm going to give you your whiteboard tools. Your whiteboard tools should be open with. I want you to graph these following points. Now, you've talked about maybe graphing in math class. So, and some of you may enjoy it. Some of you just like, oh, I hate math. I hate graphing. Well, I want you to go ahead and Naya, perfect. I want you to go ahead and take your pen. You can have your pen. You can use all different things. Go ahead and graph a couple of these points on the graph here. I'm just going to give you about 20 seconds to do so. Just graph a couple of those points. You don't have to graph them all. Technique you're using, everyone. I love it. All right. So I taught math in my day, a little bit of math here, and I love the technique that you're all using. So I'm going to go ahead and put your whiteboard tools on hold here. So excellent job. So what you do is, in order to graph, you're going to go ahead and take a look at the x-axis first. You're always going to go ahead and and the x-axis is always going to be the left-hand side of these two numbers. It's going to be in purple in this particular case. So when you graph, you're going to go ahead and go across. For x and y, well, it's going to be right here in the point because that's where X and Y meet, right? But let's take a look at here, 3 and 7. A lot of you did this, and I, again, just love this technique. I'm going to change my color to pink, okay? And what you did is you came across here. I'm going to go ahead. You came across here and came to 3, which is excellent. You're always going to go on your x-axis first, and then you went up to 7. And a lot of you took your line tool or took your pen tool and actually traced the lines, which is an excellent technique. So you went up to 7, and then you went across from 7 to 3, and wherever that point was is where you made your point. Excellent. 6 and 5, doing the same thing. I'm going to go across all the way to 6. Excellent. Here's another example. That took the line all the way up to 5 and then went across, and wherever those lines met, that's where you put your point. Beautiful. And the last one, 10 to 2, 10 to 2. I love the line again, and then you put your point there. Great technique because it obviously keeps us in line for where to put our data point. Well, we're going to talk about graphing, and we're going to talk about how the importance of graphing in science is and how it organizes the data that we receive in experiments. So let's go ahead and take a look at the data. Now, we've already seen this graph. I think it was on Monday. I forget what day it was. We saw this on Monday. We organize data to allow us to better understand the results. You imagine getting just a paper full of these numbers here. What would we do with them? It's a little overwhelming to see a bunch of numbers. And so scientists like to have things organized. And so they always put it into organized data graphs, somewhat similar to this. Now, the independent variable is always on the left-hand side. Okay, and remember what the independent variable is. That is what we changed, what we started with, or what we changed in our experiment. So I'm going to go ahead and put the independent variable, and I'm going to abbreviate it IV. Okay, so IV goes right here, and it's always going to be on the left-hand side. Whereas your dependent variable is generally placed on your right-hand side. So right here would be our dependent variable. And remember what our dependent variable is. That's what as a result of what we changed, what happened. Okay, so it's the measured, it's the effect, and it's usually at the end of our experiment. Okay, so independent variable, left-hand side, dependent variable, right-hand side. Let me go ahead and write that down. So IV will be left-hand side, and DV will be on the right-hand side. Okay, so now when we actually do graph it, these actually become like parentheses right here. So now we have two numbers, our X and our Y. And so we're going to talk about that right now. So graphing experimental results shows a relationship pattern between the independent variable and the dependent variable. Now, the independent variable is always plotted on the x-axis. So this would always be the x-axis. Remember, independent variable, left-hand side. So this would be the x-axis. Whereas my dependent variable is always going to be plotted on my y-axis. Okay, it's going to be plotted right here on my y-axis. So if I look at it, hours of sunlight. Well, remember, left-hand side, hours of sunlight. Is that going to be my independent variable or my dependent variable? Is that what I'm changing? Is that going to be my independent or dependent variable? Who can tell me in the chat box? Independent or dependent? Hours of sunlight. It's over here on my left-hand side, and even the answers in the, yes. Yes, good. I was like, my answer is actually in my chat box right now. If anybody looks at the chat box, they will find the answer. It's good, Jenny. Good, Amy. Good, Anaya. Let's get some more answers up there. We have, 22 of us in class. Good, Kintoya. Yes, absolutely. Alberto. Beautiful. Yeah, it's going to be my independent variable. So that's going to be my independent variable. So should I plot my independent variable on my X or Y axis? X or Y axis? No worries, Aliciana. No worries. Should should I plot my independent variable on my X or Y axis? If you look up, yes, good, Aliciana, yes, good, yes, Kantoya, yes, beautiful. It's going to be on my x-axis. It's going to be on my x-axis. So vice versa, my dependent variable is going to be the height of the plants. That's the result of all that sunlight is my dependent variable. Now my dependent variable is going to be then plotted on my y-axis. It's always going to be plotted on my y-axis. So let's go ahead and lock in our answers here. We're going to have a lot of answers. We're going to have number 2, number 3, and number 4 here. So number 2 is going to be pattern, P-A-T-T-E-R-N. Make sure you spell that correctly. Number 3 is going to be independent variable and x-axis. So when you go ahead and lock those answers in, I want you to raise your hand when you are finished. I'm going to give everybody about 45 seconds because ready. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Some people just may need a little more time, and that's absolutely okay. So looking for Peter, Moses, Luis, Littlejohn, Kantoya, Gabriel, Braden, Austin, Angelo, Alberto, Akare. Awesome. Just giving everybody just a couple more seconds. So Peter, Moses, thanks Mario, thanks Peter, awesome job. Angelo, Austin, Braden, Gabriel, and Moses. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I want to make sure we get through everything before the end of class. So graphing. So we're going to label each axis on the graph. Now, we're going to graph this particular data that we have just given. Again, it's a column chart. We have hours of sunlight and we have a height of the plant. I want everybody to use their arrows. So I want everybody to use their arrows. See mine there? And I want you to fly and buzz my little bees. I want you to buzz to my independent variable on my graph. Which one of these? Is it hours of sunlight or height of plant is going to be my independent variable? Oh, look at those little bees buzzing around. Buzz my little bees. Buzz, buzz. Good. Yeah. Here, I'll join the buzzing. There we go. Excellent. Look at all those bees. All right. Buzz away. Ready? Let's do crazy bees real fast. We're very crazy bees. Okay, there we go. Crazy bees. All right, now back to the hive you go. Let's go back to the hive you go. Excellent. Yeah. So hours of sunlight is going to be my independent variable. So this is my independent variable, IV. Now, obviously, on the other hand, I'm going to bring my bees back. Okay, buzz, buzz, my little bees. Where is my dependent variable on my graph? Show me my dependent variable. Ooh, there's 3 bees. Okay, here we got 4, maybe 5 or 6. All right, let's get some more bees in there. I want to see a swarm of bees. You know, attack of the killer bees right here. Attack of the killer bees on the dependent variable. Which one is the dependent variable? Okay, here we go. Here's some more. Here's some more bees. Some of them are probably still getting some honey. Okay, excellent, excellent. Fly, my little bees. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, excellent. I'm seeing a lot more bees up there. Excellent. Buzz away. All right, let's go ahead and go back to the hive. And so, yeah, I agree with you here. The height of the plant here is going to be my dependent variable. So as a result, obviously, what goes on my x-axis? Is it going to go hours of sunlight or height of plant? Who could tell me in the chat box? Is it going to go hours of sunlight or is it going to go height of plant? You can just put sunlight or plant in the chat box. On my x-axis, am I going to put sunlight or plants? Good, Aliciana. Anaya, am I going to put sunlight or plants on my x-axis? There we go, Angelina and Hala. Amy, beautiful. Yeah, I totally agree with all of you. It's going to be hours of sunlight. Remember, my independent variable goes on my x-axis. So hours of sunlight. Okay, hours of sunlight go right here. So ultimately, where does my dependent variable go? Is it go on my x or y axis? Not a trick question here. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, plant goes up. Yep, absolutely. It goes on the height of my plants. And I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. Height of plants is going to go on my y-axis. Now I can't, let me see if I can switch it around. Oh, I can. Perfect. All right. So height of my plant goes on my y-axis. Now, just like before, I want you to kind of imagine that these are now in parentheses. For some reason, if I put parentheses right here, students kind of understand this a little bit better. But just imagine that there are parentheses around here. And so what are you going to do to graph this? Obviously, if my x-axis is my independent variable, I start with 1. So I'm going to go ahead and graph my first one. And I'm going to do the same practice that I did before. I'm going to go to 1 right here. And then I'm going to go up to 3. And for 3, I'm going to go across. And then obviously wherever these points meet is going to be my first data point. So I want you to go ahead, and I did this one right here. So I want you, some of you, I want you to pick one, and I want you to plot that on the graph. Here's your whiteboard tools. I'm going to give everybody just about 15 seconds to go ahead and plot one of those data points. One of those data points. Good. Good. Awesome job, everybody. Awesome job. Yes, and I love that even though somebody else did it, so you can go right over that other person. Nice job. Get yourself practice into this. Excellent. Yeah, I agree with each and every one of you. And if you notice here now that the height of, or the hours of sunlight, obviously my plant got higher and higher. Oops, that's a terrible line. But if I connect the points better, again, using a ruler and using a line tool, then you notice that my heights get better and better. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at here and practice a little bit more graphing. So we're going to talk about water depth and temperature. Now, we've already kind of seen this before. And let me clear this. Okay. So water depth is going to be what? So looking out here is on the left-hand side. Is water depth going to be my independent or my dependent variable? Who can tell me in the chat box? Water depth. Is it going to be my independent or dependent variable? IV or DV? Good. Amy's got an answer. Excellent, Amy. Good. Akore. Yes. Anaya. Good. Elisiana. Yes. Good. Halakantoya. Yeah, it's going to be my independent variable. Yes. Excellent job. So independent variable here. Now, is it going to be on my y or x axis? Do you think my independent variable is going to be on my y or x axis? Yeah, good job. So independent variable is going to be my x axis, always my beginning, right? Think of it, when you look at data points, so if you look here, like if I just imaginally have like a 4 and a 3 in a data point, x-axis is always going to come first. Well, think of it. Independent variable is always the first thing in an experiment. So that's how you can kind of relate to that too. So temperature, on the other hand, is going to be what? Well, that's going to be my dependent variable. Obviously, it's going to be the opposite, my dependent variable here. So I'm going to put dependent, dv, okay? And then obviously it should be on my y-axis. That should be on my y-axis, okay? So now I can say, as a result, or so I changed the water depth, and as a result, the temperature got lower. The temperature got colder, right? So that's where that comes into play. Nice job, everybody. So let's go ahead and graph this now. This is a little kind of a little harder to graph here. Since we identified, and I'm going to go ahead and identify it again, this is my independent variable. This is my dependent variable. I want everybody to take a point and I want them to graph it. I'm going to give you your whiteboard tools. Do the same thing like you did before. But before you start beginning, I want you to realize here that if you look here, they're in increments of 50. They're in increments of 50. So just kind of be aware of that and then look at the top. So with that being said, take your line tool and start graphing. I'm going to give everybody about 15 Excellent. Excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here. You guys are doing an awesome job. Usually this is a little difficult for everybody, so nice. I love, again, use that technique of those 2 lines. It really kind of helps out than trying to figure it out and just put the dot there. So nice job, everybody. I think we have a good understanding of how to graph. So now, on the other hand, we're going to take a look at the types of graphs there are. okay? There are multiple types of graphs on this. Now, we have two of them. And the first one is what we call a scatter plot. Now, a scatter plot is a type of line graph that shows the relationship between two sets of numerical data. This is considered numerical data. I have numbers on both sides. Numbers on both sides. So scatter plot needs to have numbers, and I'm going to go ahead and put that numbers on both sides. If I don't have numbers on both sides, then it's not going to be a scatter plot. Okay, if I don't have numbers on my both sides with my data, it's not going to be a scatter plot. Now, a scatter plot is what we sometimes have down the middle. If you look here, we have this line right here. Now, that line is what we call a trend line. It's a straight or curved line that shows the overall pattern of data if such a relationship exists. Okay, so we're looking at the emails per day by age. So right here is going to be my trend line. So you're going to say, well, this is kind of the average. Okay, this is the relationship. So through the average, where does my data sit? Do I have people in this age group sending emails less than other people of that age group? So again, it just kind of gives us that relationship. Now, on the other hand, though, we have a bar graph. Now, a bar graph shows data as rectangles of various heights. Each rectangle is a different category. So in this case, we're talking about favorite types of movies. So this would be comedy, action, romance, drama, sci-fi, and each of these is going to be measured. Okay, again, it's going to be measured. Here's my category. We can talk about dogs, all types of dogs. So I can say German Shepherds, Golden Retrievers, Labradoodles, French dog or Frenchies, and then I could say how many people like those type of dogs. Again, I only have a data that shows numbers on one side. Okay, so we're dealing with categories. When categories are not numerical and not mathematically related. These are not mathematically related. They're just kind of showing an opinion. How many people like action movies? How many people like comedy movies or romance movies or so on and so forth, or sci-fi? Okay? So let's go ahead and lock in our answers for numbers 5 and 6. And I'm going to give everybody, again, let's go about 45 seconds. 17 seconds. Stomach is growling. I am so hungry. Okay. So let's go ahead and check in with Alberto, Angelo, Austin, Braden, Mario, and Moses. Go ahead and raise your hand. Moses, Mario, Braden, Austin, Angelo, and Alberto. Angelo, let me know how you're doing in the chat box. I know you're working on yourself. Thanks, Braden. Awesome job. Alberto, Austin. Just keep your hand raised, Braden. I'll go ahead and lower it for you. And Mario and Moses. Thanks, Austin. Awesome. Oh my gosh, that's something my kids would do. If I did this project, my kids would be like, I want that. I totally get it, Ala. All right, so let's go ahead and move on here. Let's practice this. Now, we have a couple, and I want you to box the correct answer. What type of graph would we use? Now, before I give you your whiteboard tools, I want you to take a look here. So look at this graph, and this is what I'm talking about when we're talking about a certain type of graph. I'm not going to say it because then I'll give it away. We have a kinds of flowers, and we have words or categories on one side and numbers on the other side. Whereas on this graph, we have numbers on both sides. Now, I'm going to give you your whiteboard tools. I want you to go ahead and box the correct type of graph each one of these are. So your whiteboard tools are given to you. Go ahead and box the correct graph. Good, excellent. Oh, look at those graphs going up there. Man, nice job. Look at Alexis is up there, I see. Kentoya, nice job. Amy's up there. That's awesome. Let's get Yamalet's up there. Nice job. Let's get some different people up there. Hala's up there. All right, so let's go ahead and put your whiteboard tools on hold. Nice participation. So let's take a look here. So you were all correct here. So looking at this one, and this is now I can say the answer, a bar graph the data is going to look like this. You're going to have categories here. You're not going to have numbers, but you're going to have categories here, and then you're going to have a number here. That would be a bar graph because they are mathematically not related and they're numerically not related, okay? Mathematically and numerically not related. Now, if you look down here at the bottom, you have a scatter plot. Now, remember what I said, a little hint to know if it's a scatter plot or a bar graph is a scatter plot will have numbers on both sides. If you have numbers on both sides, automatically you're going to know that that's going to be a scatter plot. So just make sure that you kind of understand. Well, these are the answers for numbers 7 and 8. Numbers 7 and 8. I'm going to go ahead and give you just about 45 or 30 seconds to go ahead and lock these in. I believe these are multiple choice, so 30 seconds up on. So let's just check in with Angelo, Braden, Kantoya, Mario, Moses, and Peter. Go ahead and raise your hand. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Kantoya. Braden, awesome. So, yeah, just keep your hand up there, Kantoya. And Moses, Angelo. We almost got 100% participation. Nice job, everybody. All right, so let's go ahead and do this last one. I feel very comfortable for you to be doing this on your own. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to go ahead and lower your hands. What type of graph would most make sense for this data and why? Okay, I'm just gonna flash back to this real fast. Take a look. I'm not gonna say anything, but just gonna flash back. There you go. Look at our graph here. Ooh, we have favorite animals: cats, dogs, sloth. Ooh, I'd be in there. Sloths would let's add number 4 there because that would be me. Okay, I'm just gonna add number 4 there. All right, would this be a scatter plot or a bar graph? Oh, don't tell me in the chat box. Don't tell me in the chat box. And why? Why? So I want you to answer one from here and then one from here. So 1, 2. So answer one from number 1, answer one from number 2. Are these categories that are not mathematically related? All the data is numerical and is mathematically related. Go ahead and lock your answers in and raise your hand once you have those answers locked in. If you want to check your answers, by all means, you can do that in the question and answers box. I'd be happy to tell you yes or no. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory here. Ooh, wolves. Wolves are pretty cool. I think they're pretty cool. But sloths, that's why I put my name right here. Number of students, that would be me right here. I have my sloths behind me. I don't have any sloths. I did have a little sloth in front of me, but I don't know where he went. Yeah, we do this one on our own, Angelina. Yep. Okay, I can... Hannah, the first part is correct, but is all the data numerical? Do I have numbers on both sides? Yeah, good job. Good correction. Peter, same thing. You're right with the type of graph, but do I have numbers on both sides? Because that's what numerical means. It has numbers on both sides. Yep, Holly, you got it now. Yep, no worries, no worries. All right, 30. Actually, I forgot to put the timer on, so 30 more seconds. I'll just check this last one. Yep, Angelina, that is correct. You are correct on that one. Good, Angelina. All right, so let's go ahead and just check in with people. Alberto, Alexis, Elisiana, Amy, Angelo, Alexis, Austin, Gabriel, Little John, Luis, Moses, and Peter. Okay, yeah, no worries, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Mario. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So Moses, Luis, Little John, Gabriel, Austin, and Angelo. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. I think we're pretty good here. I will, Jenny, I'll take a look really fast. I'll take a look real fast, okay? Just give me a quick second, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and lower our hands. At this point, I think we're doing pretty good. I'm really proud of all of you. We defined graphing and identified various examples. We labeled these axes on a graph, and we plotted some data. And then we defined and identified two types of graphs, which is scatter plot and bar graphs. So with that being said, all of you should be able to submit your notes at this time. So at this point, if you submitted your notes, I want you to have a wonderful Thursday. We're going to be finishing up your projects on tomorrow, so just be aware of that. And we will be back here on Friday starting a new unit, so get ready. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you back here on Friday. Bye now. And then Mario, I will go back right now to 3 and 4. Bye. 3 and 4. Mario, just let me know. Oh, there we go. Just let me know when you're finished there, Mario. And then let me see. Jenny, let me check yours. Oh, Jenny, I'll go ahead and take care of that for you. You just yeah, you just spelled it wrong. That's all right. Yeah, no worries, little John. Yeah, no worries. I'll go ahead and fix that for you. You're good. You're good, Jenny. Yeah, little John, no worries. I will. Are you going to be around this after?